right, everybody. So my name is Kelsey. I am a graduate assistant and PhD student in the history department. Um, I've also been a HERC tutor for the last couple of semesters. And the HERC stands for, as you can see here, History Educational Resource Center. So we help with all things history classes. Usually we're on campus in Mitchell Hall in the so-called basement. It's a big, bright, colorful room. But for now, we are virtually tutoring, and we'll have all of that information at the end of the presentation. So a little bit about me. I was actually an online student for my entire bachelor's degree. Um, it was at University of Central Florida, and I just happened to do everything online because it was what was available. So I've had a little bit of time to think about and build and research and try out some new time management skills, planning and organization. So considering we're all mostly online and have a lot more control than we usually do over our schedules, I thought I'd come here and share with you guys today what's worked for me and my peers. So when we think about time management, what comes to mind? We think about maximizing productivity, right? We think about working faster. We think about finding more time in our day to do work. Like, right, because like every time we've thought about time management and been presented time management, usually it's all right, so you're gonna work quicker, you're gonna get things done, and you can actually put more in your day now, right? So there's these things can happen with time management. You can be more productive, you can work quicker or work more effectively. Um, and you can find more time in your day depending on the type of learner you are and everything with time management. But there's a lot more to time management, and there's a much bigger, more important goal with time management, which is making life easier for you. So let's reframe time management, right? Let's think about it in terms of what makes life easier for you, what minimizes some of that overwhelm and anxiety that we feel during the semester. So time management is productivity in a sense, but it's not to shove a bunch of work into one day. It does things like includes meal breaks and regular breaks so that you have time to recharge yourself so you're working in your best mental space. And it includes other responsibilities too. It includes, if you want to work out, it includes if you need to go to the library, if you need to go to the grocery store, whatever like you have, it can include personal responsibilities. I personally put working out and relaxing into my plan because I have a tendency to overwork myself. So, time management, when we reframe it, takes what we know we must accomplish and lays it out to give us structure and a visual for how our day, our week, our semester is going to go, which can be really helpful because that means there's no surprises. There's no going to class on Wednesday and your professor saying, hey guys, remember Friday a paper is due. And then you've, started on the paper maybe and forgot about it or just haven't gotten to it. And then surprise, you have a paper you need to do by the end of the week. In comes all the anxiety and the overwhelmed feelings. We don't want that. So let's avoid it with time management. One of the most beneficial things, or the things that I found most beneficial with time management, is that I can go to sleep at the end of the day and be relaxed because I know that everything I've done for the day, everything I've assigned myself, I've completed, which means my future self is set up for success. It means tomorrow I don't have to make up anything, or usually I don't have to make anything up from the next day, although things do happen. And we'll talk about how to work within that in the next couple slides. So let's break down time management. We're going to go over the individual steps in time management, and then we're going to go over those individual steps throughout the PowerPoint. So the first thing, collecting information. This is where you're going to look at what you have due, look over your syllabus, look over e-courseware, etc., collect information. Then we're going to break down each individual assignment that we just collected, break it down into steps that are manageable. Prioritizing. This one's hard for me because, like I said, I tend to overwork and everything feels super important. Everything feels like I absolutely must get it done right now. So we'll talk about ways to work through prioritization and make it a little bit easier of a process. The next one is planning. I will admit, I'm a little bit of a nerd for planning, so bear with me and my enthusiasm because it has provided me with a level of like calmness because it's relieved some of the anxiety and some of the, oh no, what if I don't get it done in time? Because I make a plan and I can see it does get done in time. And finally, execution. We'll talk about how we take all of the tips we'll talk about in this presentation and put it into action. So the first step is collecting information. If you haven't already familiarized yourself with the courses on your eCourseware, go ahead and do that. That's usually the first thing that I do on the first day of every semester is I go in and I familiarize myself with any due dates, any important information, any contact information from my instructors, any big assignments I have due at the end of the semester, all of that I collect and I put it into either categories of the classes that I have, or I put it in to-do list, whatever works for you. You can also note your own obligations too. If you want to start working out 5 days a week, I say working out because that's something that I like really find important and trying to include more in my time. Then you can absolutely add that. That is absolutely something that can be put in your time management. Time management doesn't just have to be about school. It can be about making sure that you have time to do things that are important to you. If you don't want to include that, that's totally your thing too. Like you can absolutely do that. For a while, I only included my school stuff, and I found it more beneficial to include some personal things as well. Listen, guys, I know you've heard people say, set reminders, set reminders, set reminders a million times. And even if you feel like you have the best memory ever, like I think I do, set reminders because it gives you one less thing to worry about. It takes that mental energy that you would usually take remembering something and putting it on something that can automate it for you, like an app. And I'm not just talking about one reminder on the day of, right? I'm talking about multiple. We're going to do, if I, let's say I have a paper due at the end of the semester, right? It's a big paper, it's 10 plus pages, whatever. And so I'm going to set a reminder 1 month out. And then I'm going to set a reminder 2 weeks out, and then 5 days out, and then the day before. I usually like submitting things the day before just in case I encounter any technical difficulties, which are abundant right now, right? Like it happens. So basically, the whole point of this isn't so that you get work done early or anything like that. It's a safeguard. It's a way to protect yourself against if things come up and if they do require your focus and you have to kind of set school aside for a minute, or you have to like shift what you're thinking about. We're human, we forget things. So setting multiple reminders basically does. So if I have something else that I'm doing and all of a sudden my 1 month your reminder comes up, I go, oh my God, like thank God I set that reminder. Now I know I've got a month left and I need to start that and I need to start planning for it, and start putting it into my schedule weekly so I can get it done. So I'm not overwhelmed and cramming things in at the last minute. So I think we can all agree cramming things does cause anxiety and stress. We want to avoid that as much as possible, especially considering the last year we've had and the year we've had so far. So it's a safeguard. It protects you. It helps you. Planning. Like I said, I'm a geek for planning. At this point, you've already, in the breaking down time management, we talked about collecting information. That's your class times, your due dates, your weekly assignments, and breaking down all those assignments into steps, into individual tasks. The final step of planning, the 5, is set early deadlines for yourself. We'll talk about more about that, which kind of goes in with the reminders. So we'll go over that in more detail later. One of the best things that I suggest you do when you start managing your time is to set a weekly planning appointment. Pick one day each week. It only needs to be an hour or two, and it can be less depending on your workload. And plan for the week ahead. Take all that information that you've collected and put it into individual days. This planning appointment basically makes sure that you know what you've got ahead of you for your week. know that your due dates or weekly assignments, because we all have discussion boards and things like that right now, right? So make sure that you're getting that done and you're getting that done on time. I also suggest that you go through the individual planning steps that we talk about, the collecting information, breaking down each task, prioritizing, planning, but also include a task each week for the end of the semester assignments. So include your special projects, your big assignments, dedicate a little bit of time each week. Okay, breaking it down. This is breaking down our assignments. So you're going to break down an assignment and create small achievable steps that allows you to be able to plan accordingly. So you're going to review all the instructions for each assignment, highlight important details, and break it down into individual steps. The whole point is that you feel like these steps are manageable, they feel approachable, they feel like they can be done with relative ease. And when you break down these individual assignments, you should have a clear picture of the work you need to do for each class. So this is an example of what breaking down an assignment looks like, what writing a paper looks like if you break it down. Yours may be more specific or smaller tasks like I prefer to do, or it may be larger. You may consolidate things like select a topic and have a topic approved. But this is just an example of how you can break it down so that you can take these tasks and spread it throughout your semester for big assignments, or spread it out throughout your week for smaller assignments like weekly assignments. The green light, yellow light, red light method. This is one of the the best things that I've employed since my time in, as a student. Um, the basic idea is that green means low energy, low difficulty, yellow means medium energy, medium difficulty, and red means high energy, high difficulty. Um, so basically, you're going to take your assignments and you're going to categorize them into green, yellow, or red based on how difficult you feel that they are and how much energy it's going to take from you. Again, I'll restate, it's about how you feel it about an assignment. So if you feel like a big paper is like nothing, it's easy breezy, and discussion boards are more difficult for you, categorize discussion boards as red and big papers as yellow or green. So it's about how you feel about it, so that you know if you're tired, or if you're a little overwhelmed, or you're anxious and you don't really feel like doing a lot of work, but you need to be productive, you can go do a green task. Or alternatively, if you're feeling great and you're ready to go, you can do a high energy task, a red task. This is what it looks like when you've put it into a table. I personally use Excel because there are a couple of features on there that I've added to make it a little more comprehensive or more to my liking. But in the most simple form, it is the assignment, class, and due date. What's also nice about this is that the green light, yellow light, red light method can serve as a to-do list too. And you can sort it by due date. So you see everything in chronological order, marked with red, yellow, or green, depending on the difficulty or energy level. Like I said, prioritizing is hard because every class is super important in obtaining your degree and finishing your coursework. You've got to pass it, you've got to get it done. So everything is super important. But there are a few things we can think about to help us prioritize. So when you're planning, you want to kind of think about how far you are away from a deadline, how far you are away from a due date, and how much these individual assignments are going to require from you, right? That's where breaking down an assignment is going to come in use. So considering that, if you have something that's due tomorrow and you're working on something right now that's due, 5 days later, and you haven't completed the thing that's due tomorrow, you're going to want to do the thing that's due tomorrow. You're going to want to shift your priority to that. I also suggest making a must get done list every day. These are the things that you have to absolutely get done, or you will not be on task, or you won't get something done on time. I usually suggest having like 1 or 3 things every day, just because, like I said, I struggle with prioritization because I think everything is important. So making 1 to 3 things, preferably 1 or 2, helps me a lot. So Prioritize 1 or 3 things every day. That way, if your attention gets redirected to something else comes up, as long as I get these 3 things done, I'm good for, my future self is good. My future self is set up for success. And these things on your must get done list are not going to be the only things that you get done. They're going to be the things that are most important, the things that you have to prioritize, but there are other things in your day, but you'll prioritize the things on your must get done list. Setting early deadlines. Set a deadline a few days before or even a week before the assignment is due. Why? Because it allows for like unexpected things to pop up and keep you on task. This is one of the things happen. Life comes up. Maybe life doesn't come up and nothing emergency happens, but you're exhausted one day and you need a break. You need some time off so you can recharge so that you can come and do your assignments and it's not painful, right? We've all done an assignment that feels a little painful because we're tired. It's the end of the semester, it's the beginning, and you're not back in the groove of things. Setting an early deadline allows you that buffer, allows you that time. It also prevents procrastination because it creates a sense of urgency. The reason why, if you leave a paper to the night before and you feel great and you get it done and you feel like it's the most genius work that you've ever done, is because your brain basically goes into like emergency mode and it like fires on all cylinders and it gets it done for you. So you kind of create the same situation when you set an early deadline. And plus, it motivates you. Why not get things done early? Why not have like basically nothing to do in the last week of class because you've already done it, right? It also helps perfectionists like myself because it makes me move on to the next thing. I will sit and I will perfect something until it's perfect, and then I perfect the perfect. So setting early deadlines gets me to move on. It also staggers deadlines. So you have your due dates. Most of it's usually the big stuff is due like last day of class or the end of exam week. By setting early deadlines, you're able to stagger your work, to spread your work out. So you're not working on all of these high difficulty, high energy things towards the end of the semester. We're already all tired at the end of the semester. We don't want to be more tired. So course specific days is something that happens naturally, but it could help to get ahead of it and anticipate what days you're going to probably be working on those classes that you have. So this is where you dedicate specific days to specific courses or tasks. So if you have like Monday and Wednesday, you have history class, you're probably going to work on history class on like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or whatever combination of those days works for you. And it's that happened, like I said, that happens naturally. So it could happen naturally that you start working on those days. Maybe you just decide, I will just dedicate, Sunday and Tuesday to history coursework every week. And that takes out some of the mental heavy lifting too, when you go to do your weekly planning appointment every week, because you already know what days are dedicated to what. I usually suggest like 1 or 2 classes a day, but depending on your course load and your own preferences, you may do more, you may do less. I also suggest doing special projects days. This one's actually a really effective one, I think a really important one, because it's every day, every week you have a day, or you have half of a day, or you have a few hours in a day where you dedicate yourself to work on those big assignments, those things that are due at the end of the semester, which is really helpful because, like I said, it spreads out the workload. It spreads out the time and the energy that you have to dedicate. And instead of clustering it in one small amount of time, like a week or a couple of days, you've got it spread out. So what it might look like with the writing paper example is, 1 week you have your special projects day, you give yourself research to do for a few hours, and then you move on, knowing that you've already chipped away at the big set of tasks that you have to do. Time management and organization. At this point, you've probably noticed that time management, organization, and planning really go hand in hand. You kind of need all of it in order to effectively manage your time. So in the next slides, we're going to look at apps and tools and resources that are really useful in organizing our thoughts and with executing our plans. We'll also look at some ways that we can structure our day, which of course is always useful, but especially useful in the situation we found ourselves in now. So there are so many different types of planners, and I've tried a lot because I like trying new things and I like seeing if it works for me, if it's effective. So the one on the left, so these are both physical planners, right? So the one on the left is just a regular, simple, straightforward, at a glance, has a space for every day of the week and the date, simple, easy, done. And the one on the right is called a happy planner. I've used it myself. It's a little more creative than I usually like to go, because it uses like stickers, and you draw on it, you put these fun little, the washi tape and etc. So if you like to be creative and you want to make planning a little more fun, highly suggest that for you. There are also a ton of online templates that are free. So you can try to use those as well. And you can do like me and make a planner yourself in Microsoft Word. So here are a few apps that I've found really, really helpful. The first one is Microsoft To Do. Microsoft To Do is my personal favorite. It basically so it's one app, it's on your phone, and it syncs up with the program on your computer, and it syncs up with your university email account, since it's Microsoft and we use Microsoft Outlook for our student emails. So you can basically make a list for each class. Within that list, you have your assignments as tasks. And then within those assignment tasks, you can create individual steps. You can set a reminder, and you can set a due date. You can attach files, you can attach notes. So there's a lot that you can do with this thing. And if you flag emails, it'll come up in that too. So this can work as a reminder system and as a to-do, all in one, and as a planner, really, because when you set the due date, it comes up in plan. So it'll say like what you have due on Monday, what you have due on Tuesday. So super helpful. There's also Todoist. I'm sure you guys have heard of Todoist. It's not a new app at all. It's been around for quite some time. When it first came out, I looked at it and I wasn't super into it because it was kind of simple, which is why I liked Microsoft To Do. But it's come a long way, and it's free, and it's looking more like Microsoft To Do now. So it does a lot of the same things. So check out both, see what works for you. Then, like I said, if nothing's quite doing it for you and you need to find something else that works for you and you feel up to making your own, make your own planner, make your own to-do list that works for you. And if you haven't already, Brightspace Pulse is an app that connects directly to your eCourseWare through your My Memphis credentials. And it's going to give you direct access to the courses. You can pull up your phone, click on the course, and you can look at the course from Brightspace. It's much better than trying to navigate eCourseWare in your whatever program your phone uses for internet access, whether it's Chrome or Safari. So you can go on, look at your courses. It'll send you updates on grades when they're posted. It'll send you reminders when things are due, when things are posted. Really helpful, especially because a lot of us are working on our phones right now, or don't have direct access, easy access to a laptop. So this is an example of a weekly plan and all those tips and tricks that we've talked about put into effect. You'll see that I have some specific things and some kind of, broad things, like working on philosophy readings and finishing your discussion board for history class. Your schedule will probably look more detailed than this, but this is just to not overwhelm the slide, first of all, but just to show you kind of what these things look like in effect. And you can see that I've added workout from 4 to 5 on Tuesday and Friday. I'm going to relax from 6 to 11. Because it's important to make sure that we're giving ourselves time to recharge. And you also don't have to include the weekends. Totally up to you, whether, what days you want to include, what days you want to exclude. If you want to include the weekends or not, it's absolutely not a requirement to work on weekends, just what I have here to show kind of how it could look. Prior to scheduling my own days and setting a lot of these things that structure my day, I worked all day from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep. And I felt and looked a lot like SpongeBob because I said I had a list of things to do for the day, which works for a lot of people and may work for you. But it helps me to add some additional structure to my day. So I don't say, you know what, I have 20 things I want to get done today and I'm going to get them all done because I'm a superhero. And then be sad and disappointed at the end of the day because I am not, in fact, a superhero. I am a person and I can't do 20 big assignments in one day. Being idealistic, I was. So set a time to begin and end your day. This is going to add structure. This is going to prevent you from overloading yourself and then disappointing yourself at the end of the day because you didn't get it all done. Like I said, speaking from personal experience, it helps you keep on task during the time you have assigned yourself to work. It's the promise of a break that's also really nice too. Um, so setting a time to begin and end your day, super helpful for structure if you need it or if you want it. But if you're pretty good about judging um, how much you can get done in a day, you may not need it, but always try it. See how it works. You can abandon it immediately if you want to. The Pomodoro method. I don't know if you guys, I mean, like, it's something that a lot of people know about, but it's not like, you know, setting reminders is how popular setting reminders is. So basically, what the Pomodoro method is taking 25-minute intervals of work. So focused work where you sit down, you say, all right, 25 minutes, I'm going to focus on this right now, followed by 5-minute breaks. Every 4 intervals, you are going to have a 15 to 30-minute longer break. So 25 minutes 4 times, and then you get a 15 to 30-minute break. This helps whether you are a procrastinator or a perfectionist, because like I said, my tendency as a perfectionist is to spend too much time on something, way too much time on something, and never move on. So this helps me move on. If you're a procrastinator, it helps you say, maybe you say, all right, all I got to do is 25 minutes of this thing, and then I'll go from there, see how I feel. Either way, it helps you keep on time with your planned work. It helps you keep on task, keep moving through your day and getting those things done that you need to get done. And plus, with the Forest and Flora app, the top 2 apps, when you go to set the timer, you'll plant a tree and then the tree grows at the end. And that's super fun. And then you have like a garden of all your trees. There's also one that has a bunny, and then your bunny gets like fun things once you've done so many intervals of focused time. So there's a lot out there, is what I mean to say. So scheduling your day is something that I always thought was too much. Like, I always thought it was too detailed to get into for myself, that it was just going to make me more anxious. But this is where you need to be realistic and not idealistic. And this is where it'll help you be realistic. So you take the tasks you've created from broken down assignments and you assign them to a specific time. This can be, these daily planners can be 15-minute time slots, 30-minute time slots, or 1-hour time slots, totally depending on your preference and what you like to have. I personally like 30-minute time slots. And again, it keeps you, because it sections off time like this, it keeps you realistic. It makes you think, how long will this actually take? Will reading an article only take me 30 minutes, or maybe it'll take an hour? And if you overcommit an amount of time to a task, you'll end it early and you can always take that break. You can start working on something else, or you can just be proud of yourself that you got it done early and like give yourself a pat on the back or a cookie or whatever. I like giving myself cookies. And this can include things like meal breaks and like drive time and things that transition you to the next task. I personally have worked straight through breakfast, lunch, dinner, and this encourages me to take a step back and get some of those meal breaks in, some of those breaks. I'm sure you've probably already figured out what my favorites are, but these are my favorite things in my toolbox. I've got the day planner where I have 30-minute time slots. I've got my planner that I've made myself in Word, Microsoft Word. And this is actually an example of what to do looks like. So you can see that there's a add to my day, which makes a to-do list for your day. A remind me section for reminders, add due date, which comes up under the plan tab in the left gray column. And what's really nice is if you put it on repeat and you have a class, so you say like Zoom meeting is the name of the task, and you set it for Monday, Wednesday, you could put the Zoom link in the notes section at the very bottom of that screenshot, and it'll come up every week. And then you have the Zoom link. You don't have to worry about going through your email to get it or going to eCourseWare. And then Forest I find nice too, especially because you earn coins, which you can later redeem to plant a real tree in real life. And giving back to the environment is always fun, especially when I can do it from my hard-earned hours of study. So I realize I've thrown a lot at you guys today, right? So we're going to go over kind of a highlight reel. But just know that once you find something that works for you, and it really works for you, it will come naturally. And if it doesn't come naturally, if it's not easy for you to go through the process, then find something else that works for you. Modify it to what does work for you. So the basics, the things that you absolutely need in order to have an effective time management system is collect your due dates, information on big assignments, weekly work, etc. Right? This is our collecting information phase that we talked about. Break down assignments into small tasks that feel achievable to you. This is your, this is also part of the step that we originally talked about. So keep those tasks, break down those assignments. As soon as you hear a due date, immediately put it directly in your planner or in your reminders. It will be super helpful. You don't have to think about it when you get home, and you don't have to forget or second guess yourself about a to-do list date. Pace yourself. Schedule yourself to work on an assignment several days or weeks before it's due. This is setting early deadlines. And even if it's just a day or two before the actual due date, it's still going to be super helpful. Have a set date each week to work on your plan. This is your weekly planning appointment that we talked about. Highly suggested tips that are not essential to time management, but are very, very helpful is scheduling your day in 15 to 30-minute time slots or segments, having an app designed to remind you of the work that you need to do and track due dates, like To-Do or Todoist. If you can automate it and you trust it to automate you, go for it. Let that mental energy be taken off of you and put towards an app. Use the green light, yellow light, red light method. Super helpful, helps you prioritize what you need to work on. Set a start and end time to your day to add structure and to give you a sense of, oh, great, like when I'm done with this at 5 o'clock, I can go relax. Personally, I like to play video games and do reading, but what you choose to do is what you choose to do, of course. And finally, if you liked any of these ideas, but they weren't perfect for you, or you get like the basics that we've talked about, but you want to find something different, please take my idea and make it better. Make it work for you. That's the whole point of this. It's not about what works for me. It's not about what works for most people. It's not about what works for the most successful CEO. Like you see, like when you search productivity, it's like 5 things CEOs do that make them successful. It's not about that. It's about you. It's about making life easier for you. So I encourage you to take the basics that we've talked about, right? The essentials, the planner, the to-do list, and the reminder system, and use things like TikTok, which I found tips on, Pinterest and YouTube to see what your other fellow students are doing that help them, and then use it yourself. And finally, if you need help looking for a system that works for you or creating a system that works for you, please do not hesitate to contact us at the HERC. We can also help with like study tips, reading tips, writing, test taking strategies, the whole nine. If it has to do with the history class, we're here for you. One of the biggest things we do in the HERC is provide feedback on writing assignments. We also help write outlines and thesis statements, understand prompts, create presentations, so on and so forth. And even research. We'll help you get started with research too. So on that note, I will open to questions and see if there's anything that's come through on the chat. You guys can, if you guys don't feel comfortable using your mics, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat. There's also a guide that's going to be posted on the HERC's page along with a recording of our presentation today that goes over everything that we've talked about. So you can look at that too and keep it on hand. That way you don't feel like you've missed something writing notes today or won't remember something or something. So we have that special guide for you guys. No questions, but just wanted to say thanks. This was very helpful. Oh, I love happy planners. They are fun. I just get impatient and I don't want to put all the stickers on. And then I'm like, oh, I don't like my week. I'm going to tear it out. Like it doesn't look good enough. I'm really glad that I got to help you guys. I know that it's a small audience today, but I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad that I was able to help. And I'd love to see you guys in the HERC. Come stop by, say hi. I'll look over a paper or whatever you need. we can, yeah. So we'll have this all up on the HERC's website. We'll probably share a link on the social media pages as well. Um, so yeah. So thank you guys again so much for coming. I'm really glad I got to share this. I like sharing skills and tips because I know what it's like to be a student online, not knowing any of your classmates, and just having to figure it out on your own. So glad that I got to share it with you guys. So um, since you guys have no more questions, I'll go ahead and end this presentation, and I look forward to a great semester. I hope you guys have a great semester. Okay, bye.